Content Class 2016, Religious, Moral and Life Skills Education 1, that is DJPE-RMLS11. Presenter, Ansie Stein. Good day, I am Mrs. Ansie Stein, the presenter of this class and your tutor for 2016 for the subject Religious, Moral and Life Skills Education 1, that is RMLS 11 for the Diploma in Junior Primary Education. Welcome to this class. I hope you will find it and I hope you will enjoy it and find it worthwhile in your teaching process. Do not hesitate to contact me should you have any questions or uncertainties regarding this subject. I'm going to discuss the outlines of the study guide to introduce you to the subject. Thereafter, it is your responsibility to acquaint yourself with the content and make it your own. Now, the Ministry of Education through NIED, National Institute for Educational Development, has developed a pre-primary and junior primary syllabus together with support materials to assist the enthusiastic and motivated pre-primary or junior primary teacher to do an exceptional job. IOL has worked hard and spent much time developing the subjects and their content with care. The subjects are in line with current views and trends as to equip you for the task of caring for and educating the young learners of our nation. This module of religious, moral and life skills education will give you an insight into what constitutes religion and how it relates to moral views. The specific learning outcomes for the module, that means what you should know after the module, is firstly to explore the concept religion and the role of religion in society, to discuss positive and negative values and behavior, to discuss features of positive emotional intelligence behavior, that is EI, to analyze the content of selected life skills, and to examine the teaching learning of RME syllabus for the pre-primary phase, as well as to examine the teaching learning of the RME syllabus for grade 1. The module assessment and quality assurance, that means what you are going to do during this module. One assignment per semester is expected from you of 120 marks for modules of 12 credits. A 50% semester mark should be obtained to write exams. Exams consist of one paper of 2 hours and 30 minutes, that means 120 marks. 60% of the exam marks plus 40% of the semester mark equals to the final pass mark, and that should be 50%. A sub-minimum of 50% must be attained in the exams, and the setting and marking of exam papers are moderated. Now, the module requirements and expectations. IOL contact and practical classes are compulsory for you as student. Use your study guide, prescribed study materials and recommended website information. And all assignments must be handed in on time. Should there be special circumstances that you cannot hand in your assignment on time, it should be communicated with IOL in time. Dishonesty and plagiarism are prohibited. That means use your own words in the assignments and exams. Manage your study time well. Understand the content before you start learning. Admission to exams depend on successful attainment of the continuous assessment mark, the semester mark. Now, the study guide has is equal to 12 credits. That means you must study 120 hours at least of notional learning. You must commit yourself, allow enough time to work through the whole study guide. Use your study guide as main source of information. This study guide consists of 6 units. Study each one thoroughly and do not leave out any content. Each unit consists of a table of content, introduction with overview of the unit, of activities, and answers to the activities at the end of each unit. So you can look it up. All the units have this content. The study support. You received all the necessary study materials. First of all, read through the material. Then read the assignment. Read the expected learning outcomes. That means what you should know after each unit. Before you start studying, do this. The learning outcomes is a guide for you to know what is expected of you, to know and to understand. Then plan your study actions to have enough time to do assignments, study and for revision. Follow the guidelines given in the units and do not leave out certain content. Other support is face-to-face sessions, IOL resource centers, feedback on assignments, and contacting your tutor. That is me. Now the verbs thinking processes. Look for the table of verbs found in tests and exams to know what is expected from you. For example, the word analyze means to examine information in detail to discover the main ideas, components, patterns, or relationships. This table is found at the front of your study guide and is very important when answering questions. Then there are icons used in each unit. On the page, just before the start of Unit 1, there's an explanation of the icons used in each unit. There are 4 icons. Study them and take note what each icon indicates. That you should know before you start studying this whole study guide. Now, Unit 1 is about the religion and the role of religion in society. There's an introduction to Unit 1. If you look at Unit 1, the study material, there are learning outcomes. That means what you should know after the unit. There are learning activities for reflection and discussion. Take note that all 6 units have these 3 activities at the beginning of each unit. Read them carefully before you start working through each unit. We go to Unit 1 specifically. 1.1, the concept religion and how it relates to moral values. Be sure to understand and know the definition of religion. Know the terminology set out in this unit. After each number, for example, number 1.1 and 1.2, there is a summary and learning activity to help you know and understand the content's essence. Unit 1.2 is about the Namibian overall reason or rationale for including RMBE in the junior primary school curriculum. So why do the learners learn RME? The reason for RME in schools is set out in this subdivision. 1.3, the syllabus aims of RME in the junior primary phase. Take note of the important terminology at the beginning of each subdivision. You should know that before you start studying. The goals and aims of RME in junior primary in Namibian schools is set out under this heading. 1.4, how RME content is related to other subjects and cross-curricular issues. That means you teach RME, but it's also related to other subjects like the languages, like road safety, HIV and AIDS education. So RME is related and has cross-curricular aims that should be taken into account when teaching this subject. So it doesn't stand on its own. It is, for example, related to themes such as road safety and HIV and AIDS education, as said. 1.5, the syllabus approach to teaching and learning of RME. Teaching strategies and learning-centered education is discussed here. 1.6, the key features of the most practiced religions in Namibia. All the different religions practiced in Namibia is discussed here. This is important to know the angle from which this subject will be taught. 1.7, the role of religion in society. That means the effect of religion on society and the environment is set out here. 1.8, the relationship between religion, morals, values, principles, and rules. What are morals? What are values? What are principles and rules? Look at the definitions and understand what each one means. Study all these information. Like I said, don't leave out any content. 1.9, the moral values that are incorporated into the Namibian laws. For example, do not murder, steal, rape, abuse. Important to know this and their relation to the Namibian laws. 1.10, respecting and caring for others is important for everybody. In this study material, the meaning of respect and caring is discussed, so important in everyday life. This is such an important issue and should be taught to learners from an early age. 1.11, the value, the worth, humanness of humans and how we differ from animals. We as humans differ from animals and have a responsibility towards one another and to animals and also to the environment. And that you teach your learners in RME. 1.12, principles and best practices for developing morals in young children. Again, study the content, the terminology, and summary at the end of the study material. Now the learning activities for Unit 1, at the end of each unit, quite a few learning activities are given. Make sure to work through this in order to understand and know how the study material is applied in school and also how questions in the exams can be asked. Unit 2, if you turn to Unit 2, positive and negative values and behaviors is discussed here. 2.1, how values influence our attitudes, ideas and behavior convictions, our beliefs, faiths and view. Each heading speaks for itself and is quite clear on the content which follows. 2.2, when personal values are good and when they are unacceptable. In other words, what are good personal values and when will it be unacceptable? Learners need to know that, but it should be taught by you for them. 2.3, positive adult and child behavior driven by values. Read through the introduction and study the table of positive adult behavior and what the values of each action are. Negative adult and child behavior ignoring values. This is the opposite of the positive behavior and the effect of this is discussed. 2.5, the importance of living according to values, laws and rules. Study the definitions given in this part. It's so important for children to be taught from an early age. And in 2.6, the negative consequences of ignoring values, laws and rules. Children should know that there are consequences to each action taken by them, positive and negative. Then 2.7, how personal values determine our motives in life. What is helpful to know? Why is it helpful to know your personal values? Help children to identify their personal values during RME lessons. 2.8, showing respect for other people's dignity, rights and opinions. The importance of respect is discussed under this heading. The negative social behavior and how teaching RME could promote positive behavior. This is the essence of RME and should be studied in detail in order to teach it to your learners. 2.10, the influence of our attitudes towards winning at all costs and judging other people is discussed. The types of attitudes found in your classroom. Again, study and work through the learning activities at the end of the unit. And many important study material and possible questions in the exam paper can be found in the learning activities, as it is the application of the study material in the everyday life. Now, Unit 3 is about the positive and negative role of feelings in a personal life. In this unit, that's Unit 3, the learning outcomes, these are the important facts about the study material in Unit 3, are the following. So after the completion of this unit, you should know and be able to discuss the positive and negative role of feelings in one's life. For example, sadness, why you're angry, in love, shy, confident, despair, hate, jealousy, belonging, to feel important. So you see, these are all practical teaching content. 3.2, define emotional intelligence and explain the different dimensions of emotional intelligence. Compare the features of people with a high and a low emotional intelligence. Examine the relationship between emotional intelligence and values, EI and leadership, EI and democratic behavior. Clarify the problem-solving process and how it assists us in managing our instinctive emotions. Under 3.6, explore the other methods useful to manage our emotions. 3.7, discuss how emotional intelligence of learners can be developed, because it can be developed. 3.8, explain how to manage personal stress. And 3.9, explain how to manage conflict between two persons. This is very important for you as a teacher, but also for the learners. EI stands for emotional intelligence, and in order to understand this terminology, you should study 3.2 of this unit. Very important is to work through, understand, and know the learning outcomes of each unit. This enables you to understand the content of each unit, and many exam questions are set with this in mind. Take note of this. Then we go to Unit 4, where the content of selected life skills is discussed. So apart from moral and values, life skills are also taught in this subject. So in this Unit 4, you should acquaint yourself to basic principles of nutritional eating, of shopping intelligently, of managing your personal finances, of how to stop crime, of how to manage stress. 4.6, how to manage one's emotions, time management, which is very important also when studying, preventative health care, the purpose of and guidelines for dating, modern roles of men and women in marriage, effective parenting guidelines, and 4.12, appropriate working habits and behavior. Now, terms used to answer questions. At the beginning of the study guide, a list of verbs found in learning activities, in assignments and examinations that provide examples of the thinking involved in each question is found. Study them and understand what is expected of each terminology. For example, if the word comment is used in the question, that means to describe something and discuss briefly by giving the positive and negative points. While criticize, the word criticize means that you should give a reasoned judgment. There are many words which are used, so make sure to understand all these verbs and what is expected of you when asked. Important issues like drug abuse, kinds of substances, addictions to these and to alcohol is discussed. Healthy and unhealthy relationships, dating and violence, and the roles of men and women in marriage is also set out in this Unit 4. Study the summary given and get to know the learning activities regarding these facts. This subject focuses on the holistic, that means the body, the soul, and the mind of the learner, and therefore these facts are also very important, apart from the religious part. Unit 5 is about the RME syllabus for the pre-primary phase. After you've studied all the above information, you should then know how to apply it in the Namibian RME pre-primary syllabus. Therefore, this unit stresses the teaching learning activities and materials from the RME section of the syllabus based on different themes. These themes are the teaching learning activities and materials from the RME section of the syllabus based on the theme myself. There are different themes, so my body is also discussed. The teaching learning activities and materials from the RME section of the syllabus based on the theme my family is discussed. In 5.4, my home is discussed. Then in 5.5, my school. So you see, you start with the learning him or herself, and then you go wider. So in 5.6, my community. 5.7, teaching learning activities and materials from the RME section of the syllabus based on the theme animals is discussed. When the learner is known with himself, his environment, the community, then we go to animals. And in 5.8, water, which is so important in Namibia today. In 5.9, plants is discussed. So many practical ideas is given in these points. Now 5.10, the syllabus assessment guidelines for the pre-primary. You have to study all the information supplied in 5.10 as well as the NEET pre-primary teacher's manual. To be able to assess each learner on his or her own merits, we have to know what types of personalities we may find in our classes. We also have to know what personality each learner reflects so that we can take his or her way of behaving into consideration when doing assessment. Moreover, in this section, you will learn how and when to do assessments and how to calculate the learner's results. You have to do assessing of each learner on his or her own merits. Here are a few different personalities found in the pre-primary class. You will find the leader, then you will find the demanding child, the aggressive child, the perfectionist, and the daydreamer. So you have to know and have to see all the different kinds of learners you will get in your class. There's also a reason why learners behave as they do. The teacher has to find out what is behind the behavior and, if necessary, consult the parents and work with them to find a solution. Many different assessment procedures can be used. For example, observation of the learner at work and play, practical tasks, informal questioning and discussion can be used. Assessment may include individual or group activities, skills, ideas, processes, presentation and evaluation. The learner's level of development during that phase must be considered. And in this unit, everything is discussed with many practical ideas. In this unit, you will be taught how to do the different assessment procedures. Unit 6 is about the teaching learning of the RME syllabus for grade 1. So, the teaching learning activities and materials for teaching the subtopics of the topic belonging. Then 6.2, the same for the phases of life. So you see it goes broader now. 6.3, the teaching learning activities and materials for teaching the subtopics of the topic, the sacred places and objects. And many practical ideas is given here. 6.4, teaching learning activities and materials for teaching the subtopics of the topic festivals. In 6.5, social values. In 6.6, religion and the environment. In 6.8, the children's rights and responsibilities is discussed here, with many practical ideas. 6.9, teaching learning activities and materials for teaching the subtopics of the topic different points of view is discussed here. 6.10, syllabus assessment guidelines for the grade 1 phase is set out in detail. And in 6.11, feedback on all learning activities. Now the reference is also discussed here, and the content of this unit is taken from the junior primary phase religious and moral education syllabus, grades 1 to 3. Unit 6 describes the intended teaching learning for religious and moral education in the grade 1 phase for teaching the subtopics of the topic of the different themes. Religious and moral education is within the spiritual, moral, and ethical areas of learning in the syllabus. It has a thematic approach which links its presentation cross-curricularly to other subjects, themes, and/or topics. That means you teach religious and moral education, but it is linked to the other subjects, which you will also teach your learners. Religious and moral education allows learners to learn to understand themselves and the ever-changing multicultural world that they are growing up in. So, now we have paged through the whole study guide from Unit 1 until Unit 6. And in conclusion, I want to say, enjoy the journey through this study guide. Do it systematically. Like we said at the beginning, use 120 hours at least to study it, and over a period of time without rush. So start studying early and in time. And good luck, and make the best of this fantastic opportunity.